Hi, I'm Heather with First Pioneers Federal Credit Union, and welcome to the Money Tips No One Told You podcast. Here at First Pioneers, we love helping you understand your finances better and giving you the tools you need to be financially successful. Here, we're going to talk about financial terminology, how different accounts work. We're going to share tips that make your financial life easier, and so much more. Are you ready to dive in? So hi guys, welcome back. We are very excited for this episode. And I know I say that every time I come on and do an episode because I'm always excited because they're always fun. But this one is even more exciting because today I have a very special guest. I have Danielle, who is with the Louisiana Credit Union League. Hey, Danielle.
Hi.
So Danielle actually has a very interesting role at the league, I find. I find myself calling her a lot for things that I need to do in my job, and I'm kind of making sure that I'm, I guess, doing it correctly and that I've done everything the way I'm supposed to do it. But Danielle, why don't you introduce yourself and maybe explain your title and kind of what you do a little bit?
Sure. So I am the Director of Compliance and Engagement with the Louisiana Credit Union League. And what that means is that I go around the state making site visits to our credit unions. I do some in-person or on through Zoom call training for BSA and robbery and security. I facilitate planning sessions for the smaller credit unions, proctor exams. I'm one of your FISEP instructors for the Louisiana program, and I do have a strong background in compliance. So that's why you reach out to me, Heather, for compliance questions. I do help run the compliance hotline with the league as well.
Wow, that's so much. And I don't think people realize just how much, especially financial institutions do have to, even my advertising or marketing or really anything I say as a marketing person for the credit union, I have to make sure that I'm in compliance with the regulations that well, they regulate us that we have to follow. Um because we just have to make sure that, we're being truthful and that we're saying the right things and all that. So I think a lot of people don't realize just how much goes into that and making all that happen. So I'm glad you explained all that. um, I guess let's start a little bit with basics today. Maybe kind of tell people a little bit about how credit unions got started.
Absolutely. So the credit union movement actually began in Germany in the mid 1800s, following a devastating potato famine that left many farmers and families literally starving to death. In 1901, Alphonse Desjardins brought credit unions to Canada, and in 1909, with the help of Pierre J. and Edward Filene, he opened St. Mary's Cooperative Credit Association, which was America's first credit union in New Hampshire.
Wow. I had no idea it was that far back.
Oh, yes, they've been around for a long time.
That is so neat. So when we talk about our credit union, First Pioneers, a lot of what we talk about in the history is that it essentially started out as a savings and loan. You had people that would deposit their savings and then therefore they could loan those dollars out to people that needed it. Was that the case then as well? Was it kind of that simple?
Yes, it was. And I mean, dollar amounts were a lot smaller back then. So for instance, when Desjardins opened the credit union in Canada, it was a 10-cent buy-in. So it was very, very small dollar. Of course, the dollar is worth a lot more today than it was back then as well.
I still think that's amazing though, that's what really started credit unions, that it was literally just a need in the community that people came together, maybe a business or a group of people came together and said, okay, we need to meet this need. I just still find that fascinating and that we kind of still do that now.
Yes, we do. We absolutely do.
So another thing about credit unions that a lot of people I don't think really understand is that we're actually not for profit. Can you kind of explain a little bit, maybe help our listeners understand what what's the benefit of being not for profit for our members?
So, if you're a for profit organization, you're constantly looking for what can I do to make more money, to bring more money in? And the not for profit organizations, such as credit unions, they still have the need to bring money in to meet basic needs, your operating expenses, keeping the lights on, paying your salaries, and things like that. But the rest of it goes back to the members in the form of better interest rates on loans, better interest rates on savings accounts, which pay out better dividends for the members. And then being able to continually add new products and services to the lineup of what they offer to their members in order to make their members' lives easier from a financial standpoint.
Oh, I love that so much because you see those profits that they're going back. If you're with a bank, they're making profit to go back and pay a corporation or whoever owns them. So I love that, credit unions are looking at it very differently, which I guess leads me to my next question. Can you explain a little bit about how a credit union works in that who owns it? Because I'm not sure people get that part about a credit union.
Yes. So with financial institutions such as banks, shareholders own the bank. So a lot of that profit goes to the shareholders. They're being paid. The directors are paid. And with a credit union, the members themselves own the credit union. So when someone opens an account at the credit union, they're actually buying a share of that credit union. And so all of the decisions that the board, and in a credit union's case, is a set of volunteers. So all of the decisions that they make are for the members' benefits, the owner's benefits. And so again, better interest rates, better savings, and just making sure that the members have what they need because they're the owners of the credit union.
Yeah, I remember when I first started working here, there's a lot of credit union language that I didn't really understand. And the first time someone said, well, it's a share account, I thought, well, what is a share account? And that's why that's your share, that's your membership in the credit union, and I have always found that interesting because I know some people it kinda confuses them, that they don't understand that their share account is their savings account, and
Mhm.
that's what it is, but we call it a share account because
Yeah.
that's their share membership, and I just love that you get a voice in how things happen. That's
Oh,
an amazing
absolutely.
thing.
Even the board of directors, they're volunteers, but they're all elected. So holding a share at the credit union, that member actually has a vote in what happens as far as the growth of the credit union, and they do that by voting on the board of directors. And those people that they elect are in charge of making those decisions.
And those kinda decisions, it's not necessarily day-to-day operations decisions, right? It's kinda bigger picture decisions.
Yes, it is bigger picture decisions. So they hire a CEO, and that CEO is in charge of hiring people beneath them to work the day-to-day operations. The board doesn't really get their hands that deep into things. They are in charge of making those higher level decisions. They help build and approve policies, but the credit union staff works out the procedures for each one of those policies. So yeah, it's much bigger picture when you're talking about the decisions that the board makes.
Yeah, it feels more collaborative, where everybody kind of like you said, they have that voice
Mhm.
to make those decisions that what is truly the best thing moving forward for everyone. So, yeah.
Yes.
Um, so let's say someone wanted to be on a board at a credit union. Do you know, what sorts of qualifications might they need or who might be able to serve on a board?
So, in order to serve on a board at a credit union, first and foremost, you have to be a member of the credit union. So, it's not someone that comes in walking off the street that's going to be making decisions for the owners of the credit union. They actually have to be a member or owner of the credit union themselves. And the terms are staggered, so it's 2-year terms. And I actually just got a notification from a credit union that I'm a member of at next year's annual meeting, they're going to be having elections. They've got a couple of board positions that will be up for reelection, or to either have the person, run again and hopefully be elected again, or someone new to come into the position. And so they've already sent out notice to all of their members saying that, this is when we're doing the annual meeting. These are the positions that are open. If you'd like to run for one of those positions, this is how you do it. And so they have what they call a nominating committee. And if I were to be interested in running for this board, I would reach out to the nominating committee and say, I want to run for this position, and this is, kind of why I feel like I'd be a good candidate for the position. And then at the annual meeting, everyone that's running will be presented to the membership that's at the annual meeting, and then they vote. And just
Wow.
like any other election, the votes are counted, and whoever gets the most votes wins.
Wow, that is so neat. I don't think people realize again just how easy it might be to serve in that capacity. And of course, we're so grateful to the people that give of their time and come, to our meetings and help us make these decisions and help us, grow as a credit union, because without them we really couldn't do that. So it really is. I mean, there's a commitment to it, obviously. But we are so grateful for all of our board members and what they do for us. It's really great.
Yeah.
So you mentioned people attending an annual meeting, and I know I've noticed this. I guess probably the past couple years, especially as we get new members into the credit union, because we seem to be growing so fast. So we have a lot of new members that I'm not really sure they understand exactly what an annual meeting is and kind of its purpose, because it really does have a purpose in the life of the credit union. You think you can touch on that just briefly, maybe, and explain kind of why we do that?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, annual meeting is a requirement of the National Credit Union Association and the Federal Credit Union Act. But for the membership, it's a very important thing for them to attend, because it allows them to, if there's an election, to vote and to have their voice heard. And two, it also allows them the opportunity to find out what's going on in their credit union. Things like their financial report. There's an annual report that's required at every annual meeting. So it just kind of breaks down the financial status of the credit union. And it's really important because members are owners. So you want to know how your business is running, right? You want to know how well it's doing.
That's so true. And I think a lot of people, when we put it out there, and maybe we don't do a great job of explaining that, maybe I need to do a better job, especially to new members. But I think sometimes I get the questions, okay, what is this and what is it for? And I think sometimes as staff, employees at a credit union, especially ones that have been around a long time, I think we forget that we need to share some more of this information, not only with new members, but with people that are considering joining a credit union, so that they really can understand what all these benefits are.
Yes.
Okay, so next I wanted to talk a little bit about deposits and kind of how your money is protected at a credit union. I think people know about things like the FDIC, or at least they've seen it probably at their bank, their financial institution, but um, it's very similar at a credit union. But I'm not sure that people realize that we do have that. We do have ways of insuring their money. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So the National Credit Union Association is in charge of the National Credit Union Share Insurance Fund. And just like FDIC for banks, the NCUA insures your accounts for up to $250,000. And what that insurance is, in the just off chance that something happens to the credit union and it becomes insolvent and fails, the insurance fund is there to make sure that your funds are not just they don't just go away. So you've got an insurance policy on the funds. And there are a few different ways to increase that dollar amount. That's a much longer conversation. So, but there are ways to increase that $250,000 coverage.
Yeah, so I would think that if they have more than that, that maybe they can just visit the credit union and they can maybe give them some advice as to how they can do things to help make sure their money's protected.
Yes, and there's actually a what they call a share insurance calculator that is located within NCUA's website, or you can just Google Credit Union Share Insurance Fund calculator, and it kind of allows you to play with different scenarios of, this is how much money I have. I have two payable on death beneficiaries, and so how much would be covered and how much wouldn't be covered, because of course, we never want to think of any financial institution failing, but on the off chance that it happens, you do want to make sure that the money you have there is completely 100% covered.
Yes, I mean, we all work hard for that money, and so I think we all want it know that it's there when we need it, and like you said, it's not something that really happens that often, but, we did hear about some stuff, but that's been, at least more than a year ago now. There was there was a whole different scenario that went behind that, you guys, that wasn't necessarily, a normal situation, I don't think, but I think it did bring it to the forefront of some people's minds that, "Okay, what
Mm-hmm.
do I do?" Is my money safe? And I think they started, looking at how is it secured and am I okay? So, thanks for explaining that, and hopefully that makes them feel better. And just so everyone listening knows, we'll put some of these links for some of these things. We'll put that in the show notes so you guys can find them if you want to look them up. Um, are there any other things that are regulated that help protect the members that you could share with them?
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has a lot of different things in place. So there are, I don't even know how many off the top of my head, regulations that cover everything from your debit card to your savings and checking accounts to your loans. I mean, everything is protected, even the way that they pull your credit or report your loans to the credit bureaus. Everything is regulated. Everything. So, you know, um, I think that that would give everyone that's a member of any credit union, just or any financial institution for that matter, just some peace of mind to know that we are not out there just doing things because we want to do them. We
Right.
are out there making sure that we follow the rules, and that, there's big fines to pay if you don't follow those rules.
Yes, there are. And I think another important thing to note is most financial institutions that I'm aware of, and I know at our credit union, we have compliance officers, we have BSA officers, we have people that are responsible for those things and making sure that we're following those regulations and that we're in compliance and we're doing the things we're supposed to do. Um, because that really does protect the member at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And then you've got your regulators that come in on a regular basis and do examinations of the different areas of the credit union, and they make sure that you are complying with the regulations.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that, well, I see them all the time when they come in, and of course, if they have any findings, then it's something that we talk about. We figure out how we can, fix it or, make sure it doesn't happen in the future and things like that.
Mhm.
Most of them are really minor. It's just something someone overlooked or
Right.
maybe something that changed. So not to insinuate that every financial institution is gonna be perfect because, we're not, unfortunately, we're all human. And so,
Yes.
errors do happen, but, it is something that, we really, to the best of our ability, make sure that we are 100% compliant and doing everything that we need to do and want to do to help our members. So, thanks for explaining all that. Um, I wanna talk about the league for a minute next. I think people hear about the credit union league, we talk about it, a lot, but how is it you guys essentially advocate for credit unions a lot,
Mhm.
but what does that mean? What do you mean you advocate for credit unions?
So when a bill is proposed in the state legislature and even the like on a federal level as well, if a federal law is being proposed, some change, we kind of take a look at it, or not me, our advocacy department takes a look at it, and they look for things that are going to affect the credit unions themselves, and more so the members of the credit unions. And then they decide, okay, are we for this or are we against this? And if they're for it, we help advocate for that, the whatever change it is to that law. So if we're against it, then we come up with a game plan on how we're going to oppose it, and try to get some changes made to it so that it's more credit union and credit union member friendly than not friendly.
Right, and I know I've seen that actually happen probably a couple of times. I can remember a time was that about 2 years ago, and I honestly can't remember what was being proposed, but, um, we were reaching out. I remember members encouraging the members to reach out to the local legislators and let them know that, "Look, this is not gonna be good for the people, not just credit union members, but really anyone." It was just not a good scenario, and that, let's step up and tell them that we disagree, and they did. I remember that the legislators really they listened and they went and fought, to make sure that those changes didn't happen. So,
Yes,
um
whenever we call for, I believe the call to action, those are very important things for our credit unions and the credit union members to participate in. Because if we've gone that far where we're doing a call to action, we've done our research and we know that this is something that it cannot pass the way that it's written. There needs to be changes made to it before it goes through.
right, just another example of how important it is to use your voice and state what you need to happen for your own for your own good and to help you be more financially stable. um and we love that the legislators that work with us and are so they love the credit union movement and what we're doing, and they understand the importance of it and the fact that they're willing to work with us and help um all the people, like I said, not just
Yeah.
the members, but to help everyone is, it's really nice to see. That was something I did not know about again when I first started working here, and it's something that I'm absolutely amazed by, and really didn't know that that the league did that much to help with that.
We also, and one of my favorites that we've done is we also will look at existing laws, and if it's something that we feel like needs to be changed, whether it's on the docket or not, we can like have it added. So, long story, payable on death beneficiaries. A credit union member or primary owner of an account can assign a payable on death beneficiary, and it kind of supersedes that account going through succession. Because if you name a payable on death beneficiary, when you pass away, credit union can write the check out payable to that beneficiary. Okay, all they need is a death certificate. Years ago, there was a legislator that put into law that in order for that payable on death beneficiary assignment to be legal, not only did the account card have to be filled out with the credit union, but the credit union also needed to have that member have a notarized affidavit to go with it. And so at first it was the beneficiary had to fall within a degree of kinship, son, daughter, brother, sister, mother, father, things like that. And that kind of changed a few times along the years. But in 2016, we went to the legislature. We had credit union people go and testify as to why this change needed to be made. Namely, we were the only state in the entire country that required a beneficiary affidavit. But we were able to get that taken off of the law. And so now all you have to do is fill out the account card properly, notate that it's a payable on death account, and you're good. You no longer have to have that beneficiary. And so that's one of my favorite things, just from a compliance standpoint, is that we were able to do that. And it
That
was
is
so cool.
that is amazing. And I mean, if you've ever, lost a family member that required, required a succession, or I remember when my dad passed away, my mom had already passed. And so I was having to deal with his estate and I had bills to pay and I had all these things. And it created quite a hardship for us to try and get the funds from his accounts. And, I was paying things, waiting for funds to come. And when someone passes, it is such a lot. It's such a, I hate to say burden, but I guess it kind of is, that it's so much that the family has left to do. So, oh my goodness, having something like that in place is that's hugely helpful when you're trying to deal with all of that. That's amazing. So Danielle, tell us what drew you to credit unions.
So that's a really funny story. I did not have a clue what a credit union was until I got married. My ex mother in law worked for the school system, so she was a member of her local school board credit union. And so I joined with my husband after we got married, and I worked at Toys R Us at the time. Got to know the VP of operations that worked at the credit union I was a member of. And when I decided that I was done with retail, she came in one day and we're talking, catching up, and I said, "Question for you. What do I need to get a job at the credit union? Like, what qualifications do I need?" And her response was, "You have it. We're hiring two tellers. Go apply." And I'm like, "No, no, no. What qualifications do I need?" I asked her this a couple of times, and she finally looked at me. She says, "Do you run a cash register all day? Because I know you do." And I'm like, "Well, yeah." She says, "Then you can be a teller. It's basic cash in, cash out, just like a cash register." And so she said, "We're hiring. Go apply." 3 weeks later, I started at the credit union as a part-time teller. Somehow worked my way into BSA and compliance. I think I wasn't there that day, and I came back and they're like, "Here, BSA is yours." I worked there for 12 and a half years before I came to the league, and I have been at the league now. January will be 13 years, so it's been a wonderful 25-year plus career.
Oh, I love that. I love how people, just the right people, end up at a credit union. The people that have that heart for helping others, and that heart of service, I guess, is the best way to put it. And those are the people that always seem to end up at a credit union, and then they found their home and they stay
Yes, I
forever.
definitely found my home.
Well, and we love your passion for it. Danielle has worked with us many times, helping us do training, and that's part of the rest of what the league does, is they help us train, they help us. Those of us that are certified financial counselors, we've done that through the league and things like that. So it's the organization is amazing, and what they do for credit unions, and then by association the members, is it's very special, and we are very lucky to have them. um I guess, is there anything else you want to add before we close today?
No, just thank you, Heather, for having me today. And I thank First Pioneers for their dedication to the movement, and for being members of the league. If I, I learned a long time ago in this movement, when I was a teller, the people on the other side of that counter, they are owners. If they are not happy, they're going to go away, and then we won't have a job. And I feel the same way about the credit unions now that I'm with the league. You guys are our members, our member owners. And without you guys, the league doesn't exist. So thank you guys.
Oh, thank you. And thanks so much for coming today. This was I learned some new things as well. So I think it's going to really be helpful to our listeners. Like I said, it's so sometimes I think the biggest challenge we have is conveying that message of what a credit union can really do for you and how valuable it can be in your life, in your financial life. And so, hopefully, this is going to help people learn a little bit more about what we can really do for them. So, thanks very much for coming.
You're welcome.
And to everyone out there, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening today. We hope you found this information helpful, and we'd love it if you'd give us a rating. And don't forget to favorite or subscribe to the show. There are several ways you can find us if you need further information or you need to speak with a financial counselor. You can visit us in person in Lafayette or New Iberia, Louisiana, or you can find us at firstpioneers.com. There you can find out how to become a member of our family and find out other financial information. Be sure and check out the show notes for important links and other information. And as always, we're here to help in any way that we can. We hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.